¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Welcome to another video. If you feel like you're out of content ideas by Wednesday, literally yesterday as of me recording this, it's not because you're not creative. It's because you don't have a system. In 2026, you're basically operating within a volume game. The people who win aren't the most creative. They're just the most organized. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I think about content like these big companies. There are big YouTubers that make a bunch of content, so I never run out of ideas, even though I'm posting 2 to 3 times every single day. Let's get into it. But before we get into it, more so than anything else, if you like these types of videos about how to make content online so that way you can make money online, I would really appreciate it if you like the video and obviously subscribe to the channel because it really helps out the channel. Anyway, let's go back into the video. So first and foremost, I want to start with a reframe. You don't necessarily need more ideas. You need a system. So what does that mean? If you're doing something more than once, you probably need a system in order to optimize it, because the concept is not necessarily a creativity problem. It's a pipeline problem, right? So most people sit down and they open TikTok, they open Instagram, they open YouTube, and they try to come up with an idea from scratch. And you basically need to be treating your content like a studio, more so like Netflix, like YouTubers that have huge platforms, et cetera, within shows, franchises, seasons, et cetera. You got to stop thinking like a YouTuber hoping for inspiration, though, because you have to start thinking like a media company or large YouTubers with large followings or large companies that actually print ideas on command, that have people that generate these videos for them or generate the video ideas on a consistent basis. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is that if you first start with developing a system in order to do just video ideation. Don't just lead up to the point where you're about to record the episode and then literally just like try to think of something and then just literally spurt your mouth. Unless you're really good at communication, you can like literally describe all the things that you're trying to tell people on videos overall. So in order to do this, we're going to go step by step. So step number 1 is essentially build your 4 to 5 content buckets. Your content buckets are roughly portions or topics or terms that you basically get infinite prompts from. And how do you do this? So like, for example, for me, I basically want to teach people how to make money online with content, right? Literally just making videos online so that way you can make money online. So roughly within 5 different type of content buckets are basically running my whole channel, meaning money and offers, skills and crafts, behind the scenes, mindset and philosophy, and case studies and reactions, right? So let's say, for example, money and offers is like how I make $1,000 a month with just my phone, right? Skills and crafts is essentially like, here's how to make the most amount of hooks in the least amount of time possible. Behind the scenes is basically my own journey of developing my YouTube channel, my content plan, my content strategy, et cetera, client shooting days, failures, et cetera, more like in vlog style. Next is mindset and philosophy, essentially like my video that I literally put on this channel is just like, don't think like a YouTuber, think like Netflix, right? And just basically making the juxtaposition between the two. And then essentially case studies, really literally breaking down the biggest creators, the brands, and what they're doing for their marketing, so that way you can actually use those tips and tricks for your own different channels and whatnot. So this is the framework that I would literally abide by. So essentially 5 content buckets with 5 ideas each. So essentially that's 25 ideas instantly. So each idea can become a long form video, 3 to 5 shorts, a carousel, email, greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes. You can literally do everything in between with just literally 1 or 2 hours every single week. So now step 2 is essentially the franchise method. Never waste a banger. So what does this mean? So the concept is that essentially like once you have one good idea, that becomes a whole series. The reason why I say this is because I literally made a video on this. It's like, don't think like a YouTuber, think like a franchise, more so than anything else. It tanked, however, the concept is still true. You shouldn't just make one video or make one movie in that case and just move on. People usually, especially these like big blockbuster studios, they make sequels, they make spin-offs, they make remakes. You should do the same thing with your best videos. Essentially remake them or package them differently, or at least continue the conversation, right? So you would have your original hit, which is essentially whatever it is that has the most amount of views on your specific YouTube channel, and then you create sequels and sequels and sequels and sequels upon sequels and spin-offs based on that specific video, right? Whether you're continuing the points that you were making or making new reiterations based off of stuff that's happening in real life, so that way you can actually make the difference happen, right? So the pattern recognition, though, is the most important bit, because when a video pops off, don't just celebrate. You want to ask yourselves, like, what happened here? Then you create 2 more videos that are roughly within the same topic or within the same vibe. And then from there, essentially franchising your hits, right, is basically how you build your content schedule or your content bank, right? Or your content roughly catalog more so than anything else, and not just random viral moments, if that makes sense. So step 3, essentially turn your questions into infinite prompts. So what does that mean? So your audience will literally feed you content on a consistent basis. Like, especially if you're posting content consistently, you want to make sure that a lot of your content, or a lot of I guess like a portion of your content, comes from DMs, comments, and emails from people who are genuinely watching your videos. Like, literally they'll ask you like how do I start? Like, if you're basically in my niche, like, how do I start? Or do I need a camera? Or like, how do I get a silver play button with a low amount of views, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then roughly you develop a system in order to literally provide them the answers. Like, every time somebody asks you something even remotely related to your niche, to how you do things, your skills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you just basically put it in a Notes app or a Notion template or a Google Sheet, and then you just basically answer it with a video. So for example, like, someone asked me if they can hit a silver play button by posting 3 videos a day. Here's my honest answer, and that becomes a video, right? Or like 3 things I would tell a beginner who has asked me to start with just their phone, right? Literally, I would love to make that type of video. The key line here, more so than anything else, is that if one person asks, probably 10,000 people are roughly thinking the same, and that's a video, right? Now, step 4, use the time in between tasks habit. So what does this mean? Essentially, I want you to capture your ideas while you live your life. And that's not to say that like the content buckets aren't important or the questions that your audience asks you isn't important, but there are going to be times where you're not doing any of that stuff. And if you're dedicating 1 to 2 hours, like creating those ideas off rip, then you have a lot of ideas. However, in order to create more ideas, more so than anything else, I want you to call back to ideas that literally come to your brain for your God-given right, where it's more so an epiphany. Like, this would be a really great video to actually make upon, because you're not necessarily out of ideas, you're just not catching them when they show up, right? So my thing is basically like, if you're in the gym and you literally overhear conversations like, oh, you know, it'd be a really great video if somebody did this. It's like, or let's say if like you're more so my speed and you basically have your own business and whatnot, and you're shooting for clients, it's like, and then your client says something like, that would be a really cool video to listen to, or whatever. Or maybe you're scrolling and you see like a bad ad and you want to make an actual better version of that video, but not as an ad, as a piece of organic content. Like, it's a practical habit that you can do on a consistent basis, that when you feel a rant coming on, you open your voice memos, you put it in your notes, you take like literally 30 to 60 seconds, and you're basically tying this idea together, so that way you can return to it later, so that way you can turn that into a long form video or short form videos. And then you essentially just like, if you capture 3 video ideas a day, then you'll never run out of things to publish ever, which I think is absolutely amazing. And then the last thing, or actually second to last thing, is essentially step 5. I have 7 steps. So step 5, steal like a strategist. So if literally you follow like 3 to 5 people that I usually recommend to everybody, if you follow 3 to 5 people that you genuinely enjoy, that's within your niche, like, you can make videos based upon the videos that they make in multiple different ways. Like, you could either use the hooks that grabbed you, or the structures that worked, or literally ask, how could I basically make this video again, but in my topic, or anything of the sort. Because we're not necessarily stealing ideas, we're basically stealing containers, or the way that they're basically providing information and pouring in our own experience and our opinions, right? Because otherwise, then we're just basically stealing just to steal. And we want to make sure that we're providing our own experiences, so that way people can actually resonate with what we're saying. Now, step 6 is essentially build an idea vault, so that way your brain isn't the system, right? So once you have all of these ideas, right, and you're basically seeing them off on a consistent basis, like either on YouTube, on Instagram, or TikTok, you're going to put them down literally in your notes, your Notions, your Google Sheets, and every idea starts with 1 sentence. Essentially, like, I want you to make a daily routine of, when you write all these ideas down, that you're just going to organize them in a concise way, and then put a little description as far as like, what is this video going to be about? Because more so than anything else, is like, you might write something down, you might hear something that's really interesting, you might see something that's really interesting that you want to make a video on, but in order for you to waste less time, put a little description as far as like, what would this video be about, or maybe a couple bullet points in the way that it would actually keep you a bit more concise and also a bit more organized when you try to go back to the idea later, and then just literally just go about your due diligence and just make the video when you have time. because creators who rely on motivation basically run out of ideas, but creators who rely on systems run out of time before they even run out of content. So my main thing is like the least amount of time to make all of these videos as possible, especially if you put like a little description describing what the video is, the better, because then you can make more videos. Whereas one person would take like a week to make a video, you would take maybe a couple days, maybe in a couple hours just to make multiple videos. Does that make sense? And step 7 is attach your ideas to offers, where your ideas should always lead somewhere. So like whether if it's like you're mapping out every single one of these videos just to basically get more views, or if you're trying to sell something online, you don't necessarily have an idea problem, you just basically have a direction problem, which once you know what you're selling, more so than anything else, especially if you do not have anything to sell, then fantastic, that's cool. But like I'm talking specifically to the people who do have something to sell, like a coaching program or like a product or a service or anything in between. If they basically have a call to action in your videos consistently, then you'll always be able to make money online from the videos that you make on a consistent basis. However, if you don't, and you're just basically like relying on AdSense as far as like to pay you your bills, then you might not necessarily get as much money from making content, and you would have to make a bunch of content regardless. So just take these things into consideration. I really hope that this was helpful. If you want more videos like this, literally from turning content into cash instead of just chasing views, please like the video and subscribe, because I put videos out like this every single day and you don't want to miss them. On top of that, if you're looking to actually start a more business, like an organized business, being a social media marketing agency, I literally have 2 of them to my name that are making multiple 6 figures right now. And we basically have a coaching program, a course, and a community where you can basically learn how to do that and get to a 6-figure income in less than 90 days. And click the first link in the description. Otherwise, if you like the video so much, you can basically click out one of these videos right here that YouTube recommended to you. I don't know where it is, but it's here, and you can hang out with me at that video as well. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Peace.